All right, everybody, you've asked us to be a little bit more detailed, and B, talk a little bit more in depth about the different styles of brakes and how to adjust them. You're about to get your wish. Let's get on topic. Hey everybody, it's Thomas with Get Out Arizona, and you are watching another great episode of Toolbox Topic. I'm joined once again by my co-host Brandon Van Leuven. And Brandon, how the hell are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Now it's been a hot minute, guys. Brandon's been on vacation. Okay, I've been on the road working. Hopefully soon, maybe take a vacation. And so, it's probably been 2 weeks since you guys have seen a Toolbox Topic. Now, I appreciate everybody who's been commenting lately, Brandon and I both. And what we've heard is having a little bit more detail when we're talking about maintenance, adjustments, and that sort of nature, because there's the assumption that everybody already knows, which we make these videos because we know people don't. And that was a good point. Some things we do tend to gloss over, and people wanted a little bit more detail in the bike showcases, which we will be offering as soon as we get a new bike to showcase as far as that goes. So this is going to be the first in a series of how to properly adjust your brakes, whether they're a V-mount, rim brake, or a hydraulic brake. Am I missing another type of brake in there?
Like a hydraulic disc brake you're talking about later on?
Yeah. So, and they have the mechanical disc brakes too.
They do.
So, a little bit of both. Yep. And wait, did I mention we're at Trek Bicycle Stores, West Phoenix, in Goodyear, Arizona?
They know
but you gotta let it know. It's where the cool kids hang out. Okay, and me. So I got a little excited. We're back. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
We definitely appreciate all the feedback, my friends. That's why we do these videos, is to help you and educate you. And we're able to continue to do that better, so you guys get the best we have to offer each time through your constructive feedback. And we appreciate the fact that it is constructive and you guys aren't being jerkies about it. So without further ado, Brandon, and B-roll once again today will be shot with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I don't have the cage from Small Rig because I forgot it, you know. I can handhold it, whatever, it works.
All right,
enough of that. Brandon, take it away.
Today we are talking about a little bit of older style brake, but a tried and true brake.
Right.
Definitely. This is the V brake. And I've brought out this beautiful bright Townie today because it's probably one of the last bikes we have on the floor besides kids' bike with a V brake. Everything has moved on to hydraulic or mechanical disc brake. So 3 reasons why people want to bring a bike in for a brake adjustment are: 1, it doesn't feel very good at the lever anymore. It doesn't feel snappy. It doesn't return very well. It makes noise. It squeals. Or the brakes are rubbing. So we're going to tackle those 3 things in that order.
Okay.
First one is going to be lever feel. So a lot of times what you want, well, not a lot of times, what you ideally want is a lever that has a real nice snapback, feels nice and smooth and nice and responsive, and also kind of hits the rim at a comfortable point for you. Everybody likes their brakes at a different spot of I guess, where they hit. So I like my brakes very tight. Some people don't like them very tight. They like a little bit of room. Totally up to you. But I'm going to show a way where we can make both brakes feel identical along the way with the adjustment. So if your brake does not feel very snappy like this one does, it's mostly 2 reasons. It's because there's not enough tension on the springs.
Okay.
On the caliper, on the V brake itself, the arms, or we have corrosion and rust inside the brake line, which is causing a lot of friction inside the line. That is especially a problem when we're dealing with a bike like this that has full-length housing. Right. There's more chance for friction. There's more chance for contamination, but the line is longer. Right. So there's more friction. And
now, how often do you see, as far as not enough snappiness, that's actually due to cable stretch? I know that's something that we see on a lot of different videos, other videos. People refer to cable stretch, but it would seem to me that once initially that cable settles in and stretches once, then we don't have to necessarily worry about that as time goes on.
And cable stretch is something that happens to every bike when in a new setup, especially when you do new cables and housings. We call it stretch, but really what it is the housings compressing, the little ferrules and things compressing, kind of simulating stretch. And that's a great point to bring up. So if you have a new bike, that's why we have you come in for your checkovers, because then we can remedy that by setting everything straight again. Might be a good time to hit the B-roll now.
Okay, ooh, B-roll, right on. Look at Brandon, he's on it today. All right, guys. And you might be wondering, Thomas, why aren't you just not using another FX3? Because I'm going to buy one today, that's why. And then the B-roll will be shot with the FX3. Probably not.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a Trek FX3.
No.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
All right, let me get
Not
my
on my
Brandon's-
watch.
Right? Not on my watch. Okay, get everything set up properly here. And Brandon, give me a transition into the B-roll.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
All right. So here we go. Here's where we want to start. And this is another big question while we're at it. People are asking me a lot of times, how do you disengage the cable from this brake? Well, it's a very simple thing, and I get a lot of questions about this. I do this with one hand. So hopefully you can see this. This is called the noodle. The noodle sits inside this little bracket right here. And so what you want to do is give that some slack by squeezing the calipers together.
Let me come on that other side.
And then what you can see is you can remove the noodle from that bracket, and the brakes open up.
Okay.
This is a great place to start when we're talking about getting the friction out of your lines. Now that this is not engaged, I can go back to my lever.
Okay.
And let's talk about this lever for a moment. We've talked about barrel adjusters before when we're talking about derailleurs and adjusting on the fly for shifting. Well, in this case, what I want to do is give myself the slack by removing the cable from the bracket. And then this barrel has an opportunity to line up 2 slots. 2 slots. And when you line up those 2 slots, you can now remove the cable.
Ah, yeah, look at that.
I'm not lined up. That's my bad. Because I can't see. So now, you see if I remove it from the barrel, now I can remove the actual cable from the lever itself. Now this is a great time to kind of feel like, is this what's happening? Is it because of all the friction in the line? And if it's difficult to move this, what you want to do is get a little bit of drip bottle, some kind of lubrication. Tri-Flow works great. And you can then just drop it on the line, and it'll eventually move itself down into the cable housing itself. And a lot of times this will do a great job of just freeing up all that corrosion, give it a little, and you may have to do this a little while because this is full length housing. So it might require some time. I'm not going to go through all that, especially since the bike is new.
Right.
And then you start working the cable like that with a little bit of lubrication in there. 9 out of 10 times that does the job. If your cables are so corroded, so rusted out, that's the point now. Take it to the bike shop, have them replace the cables and the housings completely. But if it's just a little bit of dirt, just a little bit of dust, this works great every time. Putting this back into the lever, and every lever is a little bit different. Some come from the top side, some come from the bottom. Some are just a little slot inside the lever itself. This one just happens to have this little bracket right here. Give yourself some room. Hopefully your little slots in the barrel are lined up, and you replace it back there. Now, whenever you do a brake adjustment, you always want to make sure that your barrels are all the way in. That way you have room to work later on, and typically you don't need to use the barrel except for on the fly. If you're doing the adjustment, your barrel should be in all the way every time. That's just a professional thing that you do. So say we've now discovered that, okay, we've lubricated the line. That's not quite what's causing the lever not to feel as snappy, and now it's good. Let's go back over to our caliper. I keep calling it a caliper. They're V-brakes. You can call them that. They're really called brake arms. So I'm going to rehook up here. Whoever built this bike did a little bit on the tight side. Nothing wrong with that because, again, that's going to combat some of that settling. So another way to combat brakes not being snappy enough at the lever is by, first of all, if your bike is dirty, you can apply some lubrication to certain parts, the pivoting points on this. I would typically use a spray, but I'll use this as a pointer. I would spray a little bit inside the springs here. I'll spray some on the back side here and spray some a little bit on this bolt right here. Maybe loosen up the bolt, twist it around a couple of times just to break it up, because these are all points of friction once again inside the line. So if we've already lubricated and we still are looking for a little bit more snappiness at the lever, another thing we can do is intensify the tension on the springs. So a lot of people don't know this, but there's two springs. They're kind of leaf springs on the back side of both of these arms. And I can disengage them here. Watch off your fingers. Sometimes they're under an intense load, and sometimes they snap and smack the top of the nails, and that kills. So you can remove these guys, and there's two ways to adjust them. If you look at them, I have two screws on both sides here. What that is doing is that screw comes in, and that increases the tension on the spring and pulls it one way or the other. We're going to talk about that also when we're talking about aligning the brakes. But you can look here, this is going to happen before your eyes. If I screw this in, the brakes are moving. Well, hopefully you can see it.
I can see it moving.
Okay.
Hopefully you guys can see it moving.
But the brakes are moving. And now if I go around the back, you keep an eye on that. You can see now how far off the centering is.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the spring tension is on that side. So this is now the highest tension I can get on that spring. So I'm going to do that on both sides just to make both springs really strong and give me a better feel at the lever. Now what you're going to do is it's always going to be a little bit off center. So we're going to talk about this a little more when it comes to the adjustment. Come on back, check that out. And so I'm going to look at which spring has the most tension on it. They're both dialed in all the way.
Right.
So now I'll back off my highest one. Keep doing that until both of them are even. So keep back and keep back. Obviously the one on the non-drive side is a stronger spring right now. So now we have even tension. I back that off and I have the highest tension on both sides that I can possibly get to give me the most power at the lever.
And if you guys noticed when he first started doing that, this side really wasn't flexing at all. And now that he's adjusted this side, they're both
hitting evenly.
They're both hitting evenly.
Centered.
Yep. And not to distract from this part, but we had a great question on one of our shorts when we talked about doing this adjustment. And the person said, hey, I don't have those bolts on my V-brakes. What do I do?
So one way you can cheat, it's not going to be very accurate. But we also do this sometimes when these are not giving us the amount of tension that we want. You can remove these springs. I pull them out past that stop and give them a little bendy.
Ah, okay.
Give them a little bendy both sides. Try to make it even.
Even, yep.
And that's really going to intensify how much pressure is on those springs.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you can hear that snap back into place.
It really does. Now, what's going to be hard is if those springs are the fine tuning. If you don't have that fine tuning and you're just bending springs, it might be a little difficult to get them squared up. So so that's getting some friction out of the line, making the lever feel nice and snappy. Another reason why people come in a lot of times is because the brakes are noisy. First thing I'm going to do is take a look at the brake pads themselves. I'm going to see if they're glossed over, if they're contaminated. Sometimes people use too much lubrication. Lubrication gets all over the wheel.
Yeah.
Also, after some time, you'll see that the brakes kind of deteriorate and they'll leave rubber onto the rim, and that will cause a lot of sound, a lot of vibration, and a lot of screeching and howling. So a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a clean rag. And a lot of times you can just clean all that stuff right off the rim. These are going to be perfectly clean, but you're going to want to go around isopropyl alcohol on the rim to clean those guys up. This is a brand new bike, and there's already a little bit of stuff on there right now. So
now, can you use the isopropyl alcohol on carbon fiber rims as well? That was another question that we had. Will it damage the carbon fiber?
I don't think so. I don't know about that.
Okay.
I would probably prefer using highly, what's the word when you put water to something?
When you put water or something?
Yeah.
I'm just washing it with water. I don't know, Brandon.
No. Use some simple green, some biodegreaser, but highly diluted.
Diluted. Okay, there we go.
I would rather use that, a biodegreaser diluted.
Than alcohol. All right, guys.
Alcohol might be just fine.
Okay.
So another thing, so if you've cleaned the rim, if you've looked at your pads, they're okay. You can also, if they're glossy, you can get a file, sand down the pads.
Okay.
To a new surface, and then try that again. If they still continue to squeal, what you need to do is take a look at the pad. And maybe you need to take a look from this side, Thomas. But so pads, what we typically want for the most power is that the pad strikes the rim perfectly flush every time. That can be a reason why rims breaks, or why why rims squeal sometimes though.
Right.
So what you can do at that point is what we call add toe. And toe is making sure that the front of the pad hits first just by 1 millimeter or 2.
Okay.
This is not easy to do. This will require some patience. This will require some practice at some point. One of my techniques for getting rid of toe, and I should have been ready for this already, but I'm not. Hold on one second, I'll be right back.
Okay. Time for an intermission, guys. Grab some popcorn. Really?
So,
I Dream a Genie?
So here's what I do. I get a piece of trash, literally, like this. This is just one of our manuals.
Okay.
And I'll fold it a couple times. That's maybe too thick. Just maybe a millimeter or 2. And what I'll do then is put this little piece of paper right behind the pad.
Okay.
Well, that might not be enough. Let's see. So I'll leave that there, and then by opening and closing the screw here.
Oh yeah, you saw that move, just freaking.
And this might be a little bit exaggerated. I put a lot of toe in there.
Right.
But now if you look, the pad is now going to strike just a little bit before that. And again, this is exaggerated. That's a lot of toe.
That's a
right
lot
there.
of toe.
But you get the idea.
Yeah.
Where the front of the pad hits before the back of the pad, and that action will actually eliminate a lot of brake squeal a lot of times. So
okay.
Again, exaggerated. Don't do it that bad, but that could help with pad squeal as well.
Okay.
So have we covered all the pad squeal stuff?
I think we have.
That a little bit of toe will help, and sometimes you're just going to squeal. Sometimes you do the best you can, and they just squeal.
Right.
And that's going to happen a lot of times, especially if you have painted rims. If your rims are painted, don't just live with it, because they're not a machine braking surface like this, and they'll squeal. And there's nothing you can really do about it in a lot of times. So let's talk about alignment. Another thing that people come in for a lot of times is that the brakes rub. And of course, we don't want brakes rubbing unless you really want a good workout, some good resistance training. So now we're going to look at the pads and the brake itself to make sure that they don't rub. And I'm going to get on this side, on the drive side again. And maybe I can once again exaggerate something here. So a lot of times this brake rubbing is going to have to do with these springs once again. And so I am rubbing on that side now that I've made the adjustment.
Yep.
So that's great. I've actually set myself up well for this little portion of the segment. So I'm going to look at this one and I'm going to say, well, I'm going to look at the pad, where the pads lie on the rim, and also how they're just configured onto the brake pads and onto the arms themselves. So in this case, I'm going to see that. Brakes maybe not squealing, but I see that pad is off. So this is a lot of times where I'm going to use this stand, which is going to be a huge help. And what I want to do is want to look straight on to that caliper right now, see where the pads are lying.
Yep, hopefully you guys can see that.
Yep. What I'm always striving for in brake adjustment is that the arms are a mirror image of themselves on both sides.
Right.
And whether they have a little bit of tilt to them or a little, depends on the rim, depends on the shape of the pad. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of tilt. Just make sure that they're mirror image and that they hit evenly. So for that reason, I like to tilt the bike up so I can see exactly kind of this cross section of where these guys are sitting right here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get in front of you a little bit here.
Yep.
To make things easier on yourself, you can remove those springs. Again, watch out for your fingers because they can snap back. Remove the cable.
The noodle.
The noodle. And now I have kind of this free range to manipulate these arms and look at the pads. So I'm always looking at it straight from the back. And again, this takes practice. Sometimes it could be frustrating. If it's an older bike, what I will do is kind of move these convex and concave washers around because they are soft. So if you just move those around to a new position, sometimes because they're soft, they kind of develop little grooves inside them.
Right.
And so every time you tighten them down, they're going to want to settle back into those grooves. So start with a fresh portion of those convex and concave washers. And now since I'm satisfied with the way this brake is hitting, it's hitting nice and flush, it's nice and straight, I'm going to want to mirror image that side to this side.
Okay.
And I believe that the only way to truly do this is to be really right back here, looking at it from the back.
All right.
Getting down, getting dirty with it. So I'm happy right there where they're at. They look great.
Yeah,
but they're
no,
not
they do.
tightened up yet. So what I'm going to do is just snug this side. Do not tighten it down, because actually tightening this down is going to start moving everything with it, and you're going to lose that little picture, that little sight picture of the brake.
Right.
So once I've snugged it, what I want to do is hold on to this pad so that it doesn't rotate while you tighten.
Right.
So just not too crazy. Doesn't have to be super tight. Little oomph in there.
Yep.
And that way the pad hasn't rotated. It's nice and square, and now I can hook everything back up again. Now this is a good time to show you how I set up my brake cable too, before I put it together. So another part of this whole brake adjustment thing is we want the levers to hit at the exact same moment. I want them to do.
Right.
I want them to, because that's just a little detail of being a bike mechanic, that those things hit perfectly even. So one way to accomplish this is to make sure that the brake cable is exactly in the same spot, front and back.
Okay.
And how you do this spacing is by removing these little springs. You have room to play. Here's your brake boot. I've taken the cable out of its pinch bolt here. And now we're not going to totally put that noodle back into the bracket. You'll see that if I just let it stick to the outside there and pull the cable tight, I'm going to tighten right there when it's not engaged completely. I hope that makes sense. You can see what's going on here. You can see in a moment when it's going to settle in. So I'm going to tighten that. And beware, you don't have to tighten brake cables extremely hard. You just want to deform the cable. You don't have to pinch them so tight that they flatten out, because that's going to start making them fray and start making them break apart. So just enough to make that cable deform will be just enough. So this isn't totally seated. What you'll see now, I'll put that together. Totally put that in the bracket. Now, if you do this front to back, you'll have the exact same lever throw on either side. It'll be the exact same spacing.
Nice.
Put the
Nice
springs
little
back.
trick.
And then we're going to try and see what the centering is like. So I'm going to give it a few hits. And now I realize that one side is definitely higher than the other. So I will have to look at my springs. And it looks like on this one I need to back it off until they hit evenly. So just a little bit of back off.
Right.
And I keep doing that until they hit evenly. And my brake adjustment is done.
Nice. Awesome.
And that's it. Do that front and back, especially for the cable spacing there, and it's going to feel real nice.
Awesome. All right. You ready to transition back to the main camera?
All right.
3, 2. All right, my friends. That is how you adjust your V-brakes. That's a comprehensive adjustment guide on V-brakes. And I sincerely hope that that is to some of your guys' benefits out there. And I noticed, too, there's been a trend with retro bikes. Retro bikes have the V-brakes. So this question has come up more often in the last, I would say, 6 to 9 months than it has in the last couple years. They're not as complex as one might think. I mean, looking at them, like, oh, my God, look at all that stuff. But it does take a little bit of knowledge to get those to work right.
And patience is truly key with this. If you don't get it the first few times, just stick with it. Move those convex washers around a little bit.
Right.
And then see how it goes. You'll get it.
You'll get it. And, you know, I say this because, I mean, we do want you to learn. You're going to make mistakes. That's part of the learning process. Don't beat yourself up. but for whatever reason, you just can't get it put back the right way, take it to your local bike shop, you know?
You could say you tried.
You could say you tried. You could blame
But
it on us.
But don't, yeah,
Blame it on us. You could sit there and say, you know what? I was watching those chuckleheads from Get Out Arizona, and I tried doing what they did, and it didn't work, and my bike screwed up even worse.
That's better than telling them you didn't mess with it, because we know you messed with it.
Right. Don't be dishonest about it. We know. We know. So, all right, my friends, we sincerely appreciate all your support, all your feedback, everything. It's what makes this channel what it is. It helps us grow every month, and we appreciate that. Like, subscribe, bell notification icon. It helps the channel, helps the video. It's the trifecta we love so much here at Get Out Arizona. There's going to be some links down below. Now, the most important link is going to be Trek Bicycle Stores of West Phoenix, where Brandon and his crew reside. If you have any questions about this video or any other video that you might have seen on Get Out Arizona, give them a call, reach out. They'll be more than happy to help you. If you're local, stop on in and say hi. Tell them that you saw the video on YouTube and that's what brought you in. You know, lets us know we're doing our job. The other links are going to be to our social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the devil's work, but it's needed to get the word out about Get Out Arizona. You know, we have group rides. I'm getting ready to do another one here in a couple weeks. I'll probably be post-surgery, but that's regardless. We do group hikes. A lot of fun stuff, my friends. So make sure to give us some love and support there as well. The other links that we have are going to be affiliate links now. It's a qualifying purchase. We get a small commission. You do not get charged anything else. So it doesn't cost you anything to give us a hand, and it helps out with coffee money, park pass money, and gas money. The other trifecta we enjoy so much around here. So Brandon, is there anything else you want to add in closing?
It was a little rusty. That's all right. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I haven't talked that much in a long time. Sorry.
No, well, we've all been on vacation, so.
I know.
Well, he's been on vacation. I've been working, so. But regardless. All right, my friends, at this point, seriously, what do we always say? It's been a while, so I'm going to remind you, okay? The tenets of Get Out Arizona. Be kind to yourself and others. So important, okay? Be amazing stewards on that trail. Yes, we lead by example, all right? We educate. We don't humiliate when we're out there, all right? And got to ask, what are you waiting for?
Get Out Arizona.
Oh, yeah, music to my ears. We'll see you on that next adventure, my friend. Take care, everybody. Brandon, it's good to be back. You have a good week.
Oh, yeah.